Do you ever lie awake at night replaying conversations in your head? Do you analyze every text message, worry about things that haven't happened yet, or create worst-case scenarios in your mind? If your brain feels like it never stops chattering, you're not alone. Millions of people are trapped by overthinking, and it's stealing their peace, their sleep, and their happiness. But what if I told you there's a simple way to quiet that mental noise forever? This story will show you how to break free from the prison of your own thoughts. In Denver, Colorado, lived a successful architect named Michael. He was 29 years old and worked at a prestigious firm designing commercial buildings. But despite his professional success, Michael was miserable. His mind never stopped racing. From the moment he woke up until he fell asleep, his thoughts were constantly spinning. At work, Michael would second-guess every design decision. What if the client doesn't like this? What if I made a mistake in the calculations? What if my boss thinks I'm incompetent? Even after submitting projects that were clearly excellent, he would lie awake at night worrying about all the things that could go wrong. His girlfriend Lisa was getting frustrated with his constant need for reassurance. "Michael, you asked me 3 times if I'm upset about dinner last night," she would say. "I told you I'm fine, but you keep asking. Why can't you just believe me?" But Michael couldn't stop analyzing everything. Every conversation, every email, every interaction was replayed in his mind dozens of times. He would think of better things he could have said, worry about how people interpreted his words, and create elaborate scenarios about what people might be thinking about him. Michael's overthinking was affecting his work performance too. While his colleagues would finish projects and move on, Michael would spend hours second-guessing his decisions, making unnecessary revisions, and seeking approval from multiple people before submitting anything. His supervisor, David, noticed the pattern. "Michael, your work is excellent, but you need to trust your instincts more. You're spending too much time worrying about perfection and not enough time being productive." But Michael couldn't help it. His mind felt like a runaway train that he couldn't control. One weekend, feeling overwhelmed by his racing thoughts, Michael decided to visit his uncle, Frank, who lived in the mountains outside Boulder. Frank was a retired psychology professor who had always been known for his calm demeanor and wise advice. When Michael arrived at Frank's cabin, he found his uncle sitting on the porch, reading a book and looking completely peaceful. "Uncle Frank, I don't know what's wrong with me," Michael said, slumping into a chair. "My mind never stops. I analyze everything, worry about everything, and I can't seem to just relax and enjoy life." Frank set down his book and looked at his nephew with understanding eyes. "Michael, let me tell you a story that might help you understand what's happening in your mind." Michael settled in to listen, hoping his uncle might have some insight. "In ancient India," Frank began, "there was a young monk who went to his master complaining about the exact same problem you're having. His mind was constantly racing with thoughts, worries, and analysis. He couldn't meditate, couldn't find peace, and couldn't focus on anything for more than a few minutes." Michael nodded, relating completely to the monk's struggle. The master listened patiently to the young monk's complaints, then said, "Come with me. I want to show you something." The master led the monk to a tree where a monkey was jumping from branch to branch, never staying in one place for more than a few seconds. Frank paused to pour himself some coffee. The master said to the monk, "Do you see that monkey? That's exactly what your mind is like. Jumping from thought to thought, never resting, always moving. In India, we call this the monkey mind." Michael was intrigued. What did the master tell him to do about it? The monk asked the same question. Frank continued. He said, "Master, how do I stop my monkey mind?" But the master smiled and said, "You don't stop the monkey. You learn to stop feeding it." "What does that mean?" Michael asked. Frank leaned forward. "Think about it. What do monkeys need to survive? Food. And what do thoughts need to survive? Attention. Every time you engage with a worried thought, analyze it, or try to solve it, you're feeding the monkey. The more you feed it, the stronger and more active it becomes. Michael began to understand. So when I worry about what my boss thinks, and then think about that worry, and then worry about why I'm worrying, you're feeding the monkey, Frank finished. You're giving it exactly what it needs to keep jumping around in your mind. Frank stood up and walked to the edge of the porch. Michael, I want you to try something. For the next 5 minutes, I want you to sit quietly and simply observe your thoughts. Don't judge them. Don't engage with them. Don't try to stop them. Just watch them like you're watching clouds pass by in the sky. Michael was skeptical, but decided to try. He closed his eyes, and immediately his mind started racing. I wonder if this will work. What if I can't do it? Maybe I'm overthinking about overthinking. But then, he remembered his uncle's instruction. Just observe. So instead of engaging with these thoughts, he simply noticed them. There's a worried thought. There's a self-doubt thought. There's a thought about work. At first, it was difficult. Every thought seemed urgent and important. But gradually, Michael began to see that thoughts were just mental events that came and went, like sounds or sensations. They didn't require his immediate attention or response. After 5 minutes, Frank asked, "What did you notice?" "It was strange," Michael said. "When I stopped trying to solve or analyze my thoughts and just watched them, they seemed less important. Some of them just disappeared on their own." Frank nodded. "Exactly. The monkey mind thrives on engagement. When you stop feeding it with your attention, it begins to calm down. This doesn't mean you ignore important problems or stop thinking altogether. It means you choose which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones are just mental noise." Over the next hour, Frank taught Michael specific techniques. He showed him how to recognize when his monkey mind was becoming overactive, how to step back and observe his thoughts without getting caught up in them, and how to distinguish between productive thinking and useless mental chatter. "The goal isn't to have no thoughts," Frank explained. "The goal is to have a healthy relationship with your thoughts. You wouldn't let a hyperactive monkey run your house, so why let a hyperactive mind run your life?" When Michael returned to Denver, he began practicing what his uncle had taught him. It wasn't easy at first. His monkey mind was strong from years of constant feeding. But gradually, he learned to recognize when he was overthinking and step back from unnecessary mental activity. At work, when he caught himself second-guessing a design decision for the third time, he would pause and ask himself, "Is this productive thinking or monkey mind chatter?" If it was chatter, he would simply acknowledge the thought and let it pass without engaging. In his relationship with Lisa, when he found himself analyzing her tone of voice or facial expressions, he would remind himself that not every interaction needed to be dissected and examined. The results were remarkable. Michael's work productivity improved because he spent less time in mental loops and more time taking action. His relationship with Lisa got better because he was more present and less anxious. Most importantly, he began to experience moments of genuine peace and mental quiet that he hadn't felt in years. 3 months later, Michael was promoted to senior architect, partly because his supervisor noticed his increased confidence and decisiveness. During his promotion dinner, Lisa said, "Michael, I don't know what changed, but you seem so much more relaxed and happy." Michael smiled. "I learned to stop feeding the monkey." The truth is, we all have a monkey mind. It's a natural part of being human. But most of us never learn the difference between useful thinking and mental noise. We engage with every thought as if it's crucial, feeding our monkey mind until it becomes so hyperactive that it dominates our entire experience. Real mental freedom doesn't come from having no thoughts. It comes from developing a wise relationship with your thoughts, knowing which ones to engage with and which ones to let pass by like clouds in the sky. Your thoughts are not you. They're just mental events that come and go. You don't have to believe them all, analyze them all, or solve them all. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply observe them without feeding them your precious attention. The next time you find yourself caught in a spiral of overthinking, remember the monkey mind. Ask yourself, am I feeding the monkey right now? Then step back, observe your thoughts without judgment, and choose what deserves your mental energy. If this story helped you understand overthinking in a new way, give it a like and share what mental monkey you want to stop feeding in the comments. Remember, you can't control which thoughts appear, but you can always control which ones you feed.